Okay, we're good to go. We're recording. So, welcome everybody. Welcome to episode 2 of Unzipped. Thank you for tuning in. As everybody who's been kind of following along knows, we have transitioned from being just a live show where we were just going Facebook Live to now we're pre-recording in batches and we're going to put it on YouTube and then air it across the whole social media, everything. So this is way better. We've had some reschedulings and tech issues and oh my gosh, problem after problem. And so we just decided this is the best way to go. I'm sure we'll even repurpose the content into a podcast eventually. So we're just gonna go there with the whole thing. So for people that are just tuning in, what we do at Zippy Content is we represent authors, entrepreneurs, coaches, consultants, everybody in the online space basically, and we find them interviews on podcasts. So Unzipped, what Unzipped is, obviously it's play on name, Zippy Content, Unzipped. We are exposing our network of podcasters to everybody so everyone can see kind of who we've been working with and all the incredible people. I mean, podcasters or not, I mean, everybody that we work with is so incredible. So I'm just really excited to start showing people who you guys are. So without further ado, I present to you Ever Gonzalez. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm so glad to have you here finally.
Yeah, thanks for the invitation. This is really exciting. I'm glad for your success and everything you're doing. So thanks for having me on.
Thank you. I appreciate that so much. Okay, so we've been working with you for, gosh, a year and a half now, probably a long time. So we put a lot of guests on your show. I can't even think of who they are right now, so excuse me for that. But so tell me in the audience a little bit about who you were before starting your podcast. So what did you have going on, and what was it that prompted you to start a podcast? What made you think it was a good idea?
Yeah, good. Well, most of my career has been in logistics, freight management. We negotiated rates for our clients to ship their stuff all over the world, right? And it was fun. It was a good career. I started my own business, sold it in 2013. And so as I was looking around thinking, man, what am I going to do next? I was trying to make a list of all the things that I enjoyed, and I enjoy business and I enjoy people. So I was like, I might as well start a podcast, right? And so 2013, we started one along with a co-working space here in Southern Utah. We host a lot of events as well. Everything focused on entrepreneurship and startups. And so the first year, so the first 100 episodes, I used to have a professional host. So it was our show, but I had two different host on the show, and they would take turns kind of interviewing these people that I would line up. And it was great, and it was fantastic. And then they both kind of did their own thing, and so I was thinking, oh shoot, what am I going to do next? Should I hire another host and just kind of run the back, the behind the scenes kind of stuff, because that's what I really enjoy. And so I was like, well, in the meantime, I'll hop in and I'll do a few interviews until I find the perfect host. And so I did a few episodes, and I was like, man, I am hooked. This is it. Like I used to like being, in the back of the, just running the show from the back of, the curtain basically. But I really enjoyed talking to the people, the guests we had, and interacting with the audience. And so since then, episode 100 or so, we haven't looked back, and we're at episode 426, 27.
Congratulations.
It's been fantastic. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
That is so cool. Wow, you guys have been doing it a while. And so what year did you say you started in? I'm sorry if you...
2013, December of 2013. Okay. Yeah.
Cool. So you've been running a while. That's great. So tell me a little bit of the benefits that you've noticed from having a podcast. Like, what are some things that have grown out of your podcast just in your life?
Really, my network has grown quite a bit, right? Having these high profile entrepreneurs, authors, musicians, just anybody that I find interesting on my show has really paid off for us in a lot of different avenues. I keep telling people that even if nobody listened to our show, I would still be doing it just because it benefits me personally. And we don't have sponsors. We don't want sponsors. We don't make money on the podcast, but we make money because of the podcast, right? It's a marketing arm. And a lot of the people that we have on the show are the same people that we invite to our events. And it's because they had a great experience on the show, and they were able to kind of give a little and learn and all those things with our audience. They come back for more. And so it's been a huge plus. Starting the podcast is something that was a very beneficial thing for me personally, and I'm going to continue to do it for as long as I can, regardless of what else I'm doing, business wise.
Yeah, definitely. You know what? You said literally like verbatim some of the things that I've heard other people say just in terms of being a guest on podcasts and having their like it benefits you in so many different ways aside from just having a podcast and having it be a cool interview platform.
For
So I'm
sure.
so glad you touched on that. That's awesome. So let's see. So tell me some of the connections that you've made just from having guests. What are some of the? Do you have any like awesome business connections that have come from this? Is there partnerships that have sprung from it? Tell me some
All the
about that.
above. Yeah. I've literally made good personal friends because of the show, right? Because of the show, I'm able to call on people that for the most part, I don't have any business talking to, right?
Right.
CEOs and entrepreneurs and authors, actors, musicians. But because of the show, I'm able to call them up or one of my assistants say, hey, do you want to come on the show? And they do. And we hit it off.
Yeah.
And literally we've made personal connections, personal friendships because of the show. Plus partnerships. We've had a few different partnerships throughout the years with people. We start different projects, different companies, side hustles, and it's been very, very beneficial, right? So not only the personal networking part of it, but business has come through the podcast, which is
right. That leads right into my next question. Yeah, yeah, definitely. So you've noticed actual money come from the podcast just spurring growth in other types of your business, basically.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because of the podcast, we're able to get these high profile entrepreneurs and business owners to come speak at our events. And quite frankly, for free, right? We don't pay our speakers, but they come and they travel on their own dime to come to our events, whether in Utah or throughout the US where we host our events. And it's been very, very beneficial. And again, because of the good experience that they had on the show, they come back and they have great experiences now in front of a live studio audience. And it's been one of the things that we're going to continue to do, right?
You're doing that now? You're recording in front of a live audience now?
No, but I mean, just whenever we have our events, right? We bring
right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
yes.
Right, as much as I love doing this, right? Online interviews, all that stuff. The real, and you know this, you were going to come to one of our events, but something happened
last year.
Yeah. And those type of events where people meet in real life, that's where the magic happens, right? That's where true friendships, business partnerships, and things like that. People get inspired being face to face. And so the podcast is kind of a tool to get everybody in one space. And then once we have them in that space, we put good content, good speakers, and then we kind of just back off, right? We let them develop friendships and connections on their own. We just built the platform, and it's been great for us.
I love it. And you get to just facilitate all these amazing connections happening. I can't wait I'm going to one of your events. It's going to happen. I'm in Utah pretty often. I've got family all over Utah. So there's no reason why I can't make it happen.
Let's make it happen.
It's definitely happening.
And on top of that, we're going to other cities as well, right? We host some here in Utah, but our next event is in Austin, Texas in May.
Oh, awesome.
Denver in July, and then back to LA in September. So yeah.
Ooh, okay. LA is only like an hour and a half, an hour and 45 minutes from me. And September is also my birthday month. So that's happening. I'm going to have to make it to that one.
You need to come and speak. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'd love to. That would be so fun. Definitely. It's going to have to happen for sure. So say there's somebody in the audience who wants to either start their own podcast or be a guest on podcast, something like that. Give them some pointers. What do they do before they get started to make sure that they're able to get a really strong return on it? What can they do during to make sure that they're just a good host or a good guest? I mean, just go ahead and dive on into that side.
Yeah, great question. And the easy answer is just the Nike model, right? Just do it. Don't wait until it's perfect. Don't wait until you have the most expensive equipment and mics and all that stuff. Literally earbuds and a laptop, and you can start a show. But once you decide to do it, right, you have to figure out a few different things. What's the show about, right? What message do you want to get across? Is it an interview show? Is it you talking, teaching? Once you figure out what you want to do, just go out there and do it, right? The first few episodes that I did, right, I look back, I listen to them now, and they were horrible. They were horrible, but it's okay because those first few have got me to 400 plus, right? And I'd like to think that I've gotten better throughout the years. So don't wait until it's perfect. Don't wait until you have everything you need. Just go out there and do it. Figure out your own voice and be curious, right? If it's an interview show, be curious about the guests that you have. Ask them questions. Forget about the fact that people are listening in, right?
Yeah.
When I have somebody on the show and I'm thinking about what are people going to think, or what do people want to know? Excuse me. That's when excuse me. Let me get some water. One sec.
Yeah. Go for it. You're good.
Oh, sorry about that.
No, you're good.
Yeah. Once we have people on the show and I start thinking about what the audience is thinking, and those are not the good shows, right? Those are not the best interviews that I can have. It's when I'm truly curious about the person, again, whether an author, musician, entrepreneur.
Right.
When I am truly curious about it, then that's when the magic happens on air. So be curious, just do it, and don't wait for the perfect equipment.
I love it. Yeah, that's great advice for sure. I mean, even just when I was starting my company, when I just started doing this, I had no idea what I was doing. I mean, literally, it was like all the software I was using was so primitive. Everything was like primitive. I had no idea but you just do it, and you keep going, and you learn the lessons sometimes the hard way, and you just keep pushing forward. So that's great advice.
Right. With
Definitely.
podcasting, it's different than some of these other startups and businesses that you start. You don't need a lot of capital. So there aren't any excuses, right? You don't need fancy equipment, restaurant equipment, big manufacturing type of thing. No, you just need literally your laptop, which most people have, and their earbuds.
Okay.
You can host it free anywhere. You can edit it free anywhere. So you can, I don't know. There's no excuse. The barrier of entry is very low.
So let me ask you this. Say you start a podcast and you want to get a return on it in your business. Like you said, you don't make money from the podcast, but you make money because of the podcast. How can somebody make sure that happens? You know what I mean? Like, is there anything that you recommend people do to make sure that they have things dialed in either in their business or whatever they're doing to make sure that they can actually get a return on it?
Sure. Right. I would say you niche down as much as you can.
Okay.
Right?
That's good advice.
You can have a broad audience and things like that. And, when I ask people, who's your audience? They're like, oh, everybody in the world. Nah, well, okay. Not really. If you can niche down as much as you possibly can, say, my podcast is about car enthusiasts. Awesome. Right. So now making money, the easy way, go find sponsors for your podcast for, that want an audience full of car enthusiasts. On top of that, you can have affiliate marketing, right, where you sell other people's products through the podcast.
Right.
Or you can offer your own products and services through your podcast. Own services. Those are the three main things: sponsors, affiliate marketing, and then selling your own services through the podcast. And really, it's not very difficult. And people think that they need thousands and thousands of downloads in order to be able to have a sponsor. Not if you have 50 really engaged listeners. Who cares? If those are going to, I would rather have a small amount of listeners that really like what we're doing and are engaged
with the right demographics
with us.
Absolutely.
I mean? Than thousands that are just like, okay.
Yep. That goes right along with what I tell a lot of my clients. I can put you in front of an audience that has 100,000 downloads, 100,000 listeners, but if it's not the right demographic and they're not the people who want to buy from you, you're not going to get a return on it. So knowing your audience and the demographics is really important.
Yeah. One of the things that I like that you do is you and your team, you guys are pretty good at presenting clients that fit our show. So I feel like my show and what clients would fit in there. I'm sure you have other clients that won't necessarily fit on there, and you don't pitch them to me, which I like, right? You just say, because I know a show, I think this is gonna be a great connection. And 99% of the time we're like, yeah, let's do it.
Yep. You know what? And it wasn't always that way in the beginning when I first got started. And I didn't have my team either. It was just me doing it. You know what I mean? And now my team, they've really gotten so good at that. Like, they know our network inside and out. They know the podcasters we're working with. They know our guests, our clients, and their whole stories. You know what I mean? And so they're really consciously lining these people up with their podcasters that they're being interviewed on. So I'm glad that you said thank you. I appreciate that.
It's funny. We
give my
get
team a big pat on the back.
Oh, for sure. Big pat on the back. Because of where we are and the success that we've had, we get a lot of people pitching, a lot of agencies pitching us.
Oh, yeah.
And it's it's not sincere, right? You can tell that
Yeah.
that's the same email that they send out to 50 other
Yeah.
podcasters, but it's the
Yeah.
personal touch that wins it along with the
Mm-hmm.
podcast, right? So the podcasters are listening, or those who want to start, make it your own, right?
Yeah.
I don't care what you do, how you do it, make it your own personality. And that's going to go a
Mm-hmm.
long way. Don't try to be the
Yeah,
radio guy.
definitely.
Don't try to be the, somebody else that's successful. Be your own person, find your own lane, and you can make it happen.
Yeah, I love that. That is so important. I notice so many people that they're constantly like trying to be somebody they think their audience wants to hear. And it's like, no, your audience wants to hear you. Like you don't change yourself for your audience. Your audience will find you if you just put yourself out there.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's great. So
Yeah, it's funny. We I have a love-hate relationship with some of the advice that goes out to potential new podcasters, right? One of them is find your, who's your avatar, build your show to the avatar. And I'm like, I don't know.
I don't like that.
How about you just be you and do your thing, and then those people are going to come, right? You find them.
Yes.
And things like that. But don't build a show around what you think the perfect listener is going to be, because if it's not you, it's going to suffer.
Yep.
And it's not real. We're getting so good at kind of smelling the unauthentic podcasters, right? That are kind of faking it, and you know, whether it's good or bad, I don't know, but we're too sophisticated nowadays to be able to know when people aren't real.
Yeah, definitely. And I am always hearing how much people appreciate it when you're just vulnerable and real and raw, you know what I mean? And you just put yourself out there, so it's almost a detriment to like put on a face and like try and have this whole perfect professional thing going. You know what I mean? I don't think it works anymore, in my opinion.
Yeah. And it's funny that I keep going back to you, but you're a perfect example of this, right? I mean, I get to see you online. I get to see you when you're on shows and doing these type of things, and you're comfortable. You're in your home. Sometimes I see your little girl, right? So I know who you are. You're not putting on a face for the most part. I like you, and people like you, and they follow you because of who you are. And it's, there isn't anything, you're not hiding anything for the most part.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like if I did try to hide things, I would just end up looking like a shit show. Pardon my, it would just not look good. It would not be a good look. Awesome. So, okay. So last question, where can everybody learn more about you? Where can they listen to you? Where can they work with you? Where can everyone find you?
Sure. So the for the podcast and everything we're doing there, Outlier HQ, outlierhq.com. For our events, outliercs.com, Outlier CS as in conference series. So outliercs.com. And then Ever Gonzalez, links, by the way. Yeah, and Outlier HQ, most of our social media handles. So yeah, feel free to reach out. We're always looking for cool people to have on the show. We're always looking for cool people to speak at our events. If that's you, feel free to connect.
Yes, I know a lot of you guys. I've had a lot of people asking about speaking events and stuff. So pay attention. So awesome. And I can connect you guys with him too. If you're interested in speaking at one of his events, just hit me up and I'll connect you. So thank you so much again for being a part of the show at episode 2. That's pretty big. I don't know.
Congrats.
Hopefully I don't look back at these episodes and go, oh, that was terrible.
You're doing a great job.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. And I really enjoyed our interview. I really feel like the audience is going to have a lot of really, really great stuff to take away from it. So thanks again. And thank you again for accepting so many of our clients that we send your way. You're a huge, valuable part of our network. And we love you. We love you guys.
Thanks. We love it. Keep it up.
Awesome. Well, I hope everybody has a great day, and we're going to go ahead and cut it. Okay, so let me just end recording here. Boom.